So we've asked all the kids, you're the scariest person in the show. Tell us why you're a teddy bear.
I cried supermarket openings, you know. I just, you know, I love the writing, and I jumped on this whole game because they said they were going to evolve the character.
Yeah.
And to me, it's really interesting, you know. And I played many heavies over the years, and my most enjoyable roles, oddly enough, were, I love Westerns, but even when I played in a Western where the character wasn't all bad, it was most exciting. It was flawed. I remember doing The Gambler with Kenny Rogers, and it was the last installment. It was like a 4-hour deal, and I played Blackjack Ketchum. Blackjack Ketchum is a really badass of the Wild Bunch. And when he was hung in 1902, his neck tore away from his torso. They misweighted the gallows. But he was a lot of fun to play. And same thing goes for really, you know, when I did Cagney and Lacey or I did my own series, they were kind of fun characters, but they were good guys. For me, you do a character who's venomous, and you give him a sense of humor. John Kreese didn't have that in the movies. I was told never to. John Avildsen would come to me and say, "I don't want a Martin Kove twinkle. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to smile. I want death." And he really said that. So everything was quite stoic. Everything was kind of rigid. I liked it better when my students won, but he didn't vacillate too much between, you know, his expressions. But in this game, they've written me all over, and it's really fun. And they promised they would do that when I said, okay, I'll play. Come in episode 10. Can I come in episode 6? No. Got to come in episode 10. And you're going to set up season 2, season 3, you'll be a regular, blah, blah. So I went along, and he'll always be back. That character, even in my personality, comes up sometimes. John Kreese, you can't, you know, he's there. And you can't, it's not that he's a pleasant person. It comes up in very difficult times when I feel violated as Martin Kove. When I feel violated, that character does come up. It comes up usually right here. And you stare down someone. It's come up in the most bizarre places. When I want to go to an ice cream shop and they're closed, I stare at the goddamn glass. And I want to, like, you know, when you want ice cream and you can't have it, you know? I stare at the glass and or the guy inside cleaning up, and I say, I can't open it. You know, it's just, and it comes up, you know. But what can you do?
When Kreese finally sees Daniel LaRusso again, is Daniel still scared of him? Even though Daniel's an adult now, is this still a frightening figure from his past?
He has a scene in season 2. He has a scene with his wife, and they talk about my character. And he says, he has a great line that they wrote. He says, and now Kreese is there, and he's faked his death twice. So, give you an idea. I can't really give you too much, but there's an apprehension there, because I don't think Ralph, as Daniel, will ever know what Kreese is up to, because most of the people don't, because he's a very unforgettable character in the fact that he's a very loose cannon and got into this game because of what happened in Vietnam, and has a level of this much forgiveness, and we don't really know what he's going to do. And the more we learn about, which they're going to do in season 3, if we have a season 3, they'll discuss Vietnam. They'll talk about they'll talk about his bullying, what he was bullied as a kid. And you'll learn a lot more about this character. But Ralph, I believe that Daniel will always be apprehensive and never trust John Kreese. Never. And you'll get to see it early on in the first couple of episodes. It's very rewarding and very funny.
Do you think there's any of the kids on the show that would be like a better pupil for Kreese than Billy?
Well, you know, Miguel is a formidable student with his karate. Hawk is a formidable student with his, you know, intellect, because he He looks more into the dark tunnel than the other characters. There's a darkness about him. And I think he would fall into, if I were to cultivate another Johnny Lawrence at this point, because the character is as decent as he is in some parts of this season, he's just as impossible and conniving. He would take the best of their qualities and use them both to suit his needs. If he needed to be triumphant, he would, because he comes from a place where his students aren't allowed to lose. And he would utilize these characters to the best of his ability, to the best of the dojo's ability, to the best of the integrity of Cobra Kai. Because that's the most important thing to this guy, is his interpretation of this thing called Cobra Kai that he created. I can't tell you how. I even figured it out. But they thought they had a better reason than but I have a better reason. But it happened in Vietnam. But the deal is, he would utilize them in a no-win situation for the competition. Remember, the difference between Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai is John Kreese instructions are, when you beat your opponent, make sure he stays down. Miyagi-Do's, if you win the point, it's the honorable thing to do. Go take your position. And, behind the line. And that's just how John Kreese was brought up. And there's a charm to it. There's a viciousness to it. It's kind of interesting to go back and forth.
How does it, with the character Pat Morita, how it ended in the second film? Do we see a replay or a touchback to where your character kind of reminds it about those incidences that happened in the past?
Yes. The genius of what these writers do as producers is they go back and take footage from the scenes you remember, but different angles that weren't used in the movies. So they're outtakes. So they'll go in and you'd swear you've seen that scene, but it's a different take of the struggling, the breaking of the trophy, whatever it is, and they'll use that as a flashback to handle certain things. And on this season, they do it a lot more than last season. And this season, there's a lot of fighting. So they intercut a lot of moments. But what you're seeing is not the movie. So it doesn't feel like we're building or using the movie to make the series better. We're not. They've created all this to create Cobra Kai versus the Karate Kid movies. And it's their own Star Wars. It's their own version of Karate Kid and what the characters would do if the characters lived on 35 years later. So yes, they do, but they're not just taking it from the picture. They go into the archives in Colombia and researched it, which is amazing to me. In this season, you'll learn that he didn't. He would have liked to, but as he tells Ralph, my condolence. And he doesn't have any lost love for Miyagi. But it's really Miyagi-Do that needs to be snuffed out. There's only one game in town.
Thank you for watching Muse. If you like what you saw, make sure to subscribe to our channel and click on all the other videos you see to watch more of our content.